Hello and welcome to episode 90 of PubShorts titled Velvet Goldmine. And I'm sure, Tony, you may wonder what it is, but we can talk about it later. But my name is Dr. KK. I'm the Innovation Officer at Trinka and Inago. And Tony, please introduce yourself and the show.
Hello, everyone. Yes, indeed. Hello, everyone. I'm Tony O'Rourke. I'm Vice President for Partnerships here at Inago. Welcome to another episode of Pub Shorts, episode 90. I can't believe we've actually recorded 90 episodes already. That's incredible. You may wonder if you're a first-time viewer of Pub Shorts. Hopefully you're not. If you are, Pub Shorts is a regular podcast which once or twice a week, which KK and I record, where we look at different articles that appear in the trade press online, in social media, that relate to the field of research communications. So whether it's technology, AI, policy, whatever it might be, we will talk about that briefly, quickly, and hopefully in an interesting and engaging way. Now, just to let you know what we do. Every episode of Pub Shorts is named after, or we try to link thematically. So, and what we try and do is link that theme to a song. Both KK and I are both mildly obsessed, well, maybe not so mildly obsessed music fans. And each episode is named after normally a British UK pop song, which most times I will know. This time, KK has me completely stumped. So I'm going to ask KK why on earth this episode is named after this classic David Bowie song.
Yes. So the reason, first of all, we are referring to David Bowie's The Velvet Goldmine, which is a B-side from the single Space Oddity, published in 1975, if I'm not mistaken, or 1970s anyway. So the reason, Tony, why I chose this is because I do not know if you were aware, maybe you were hiding under a rock, but Spotify has a band called the Velvet Sundown, which was in the news last week. Did you hear about it?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so it is basically an AI generated project, basically, and Spotify did not mention it, and it blew up in terms of listenership because the music maybe is arguably good, but at the same time, it was not clear for the listeners or the audience that it was an AI generated band, and Spotify came clean, and we are covering that story. So this is I had to fit in that Velvet reference somehow. That's why I chose this song. But we are also covering all sorts of research integrity related issues in the scope of AI, and that's the reason why. So we are talking about how coding, the art, the field of coding in terms of teaching people how to code has changed, and we are talking about all the other different types of including whether AIs have personalities and everything. But we are winding down with a story on the band The Velvet Sundown, and that's the reason why we are calling it The Velvet Goldmine.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that. It's succinct and excellent description.
Thank you very much. And we are now ready to go to the first story that we're covering. All right. So it is a worldview article from Nature titled Why We Need Mandatory Safeguards for Emotionally Responsive AI. So emotional AI can influence vulnerable users. So what do you mean by emotional AI? In the sense that if suppose you are chatting with an AI chatbot, you can be influenced because of the way that AI presents, or the chatbots present themselves. And these chatbots are becoming very popular, especially among young users, for simulating conversations with famous personas. I mean, earlier in the day, I read a newspaper article, Tabloid, which discusses AI giving psychological assistance when doctors or psychologists cannot provide it, and which is concerning already. And the research shows that some people can react to AI's emotional cues as if they were real, even though when they know that they are not. And there have been real world incidents where AI interactions have led to emotional dependencies or tragic outcomes. Or if you want to follow shows like Black Mirror, people committing suicides and everything, which actually has happened in reality as well. So this all sort of brings us to the fact that AI needs to be used responsibly, and both the user as well as the developer need to understand the potential consequences of such products. I'll leave that for you to respond to in terms of your thoughts on this article.
Again, it shows the difference between the way the mind of a 20-year-old person works and my mind, in terms of how they engage with AI. But that was on a serious note. We're seeing more and more how AI is being used to replicate sort of long dead historical figures, for example, or famous actors or famous personalities. So how is this any different? I think, as long as the guardrails are in place, as long as the caveats are in place, as long as the right kind of disclaimers exist, then it's up to the user to differentiate what's appropriate and the right way to engage with the bot.
Right, but
And if by doing this makes the bot more engaging, then well done to the developer. But there needs to be some kind of disclaimer in place.
But what if Tony? Imagine a 10-year-old right now who has access to ChatGPT, and it's, I mean, he or she is chatting with ChatGPT without knowing that this thing that they are chatting with is actually a chatbot and not a real thing. So we need to educate, I think, the youth, children as well, in terms of how what these chatbots are, how they need to respond to it.
More importantly, we need to educate their parents, and we need to educate the teachers that are looking after these children.
Yeah.
These children, if they're given access to these tools, they'll play with these tools.
Yeah.
But their parents need to know what the children are doing.
Yeah. All right, moving on to another Nature article. This one is a news feature titled AI Scientists Join These Research Teams. And here's what happened. Again, very sort of, clickbaity and everything. So AI scientists are joining research teams as co-scientists. And this is not the AI co-scientists that Google, the brand AI co-scientists that DeepMind came up with. So these systems mimic research group discussions using chatbots. And they can rapidly develop scientific ideas and hypotheses. And some researchers see them as potential time savers and idea generators, but not everyone is convinced of their novelty or usefulness. And these systems can range in their execution from synthesizing current knowledge, which is like literature review or reading assistance, to proposing new experiments, which is, I guess, methodology and doing actual hypothetical experiments. So I mean, it sort of covers, but it is a reality that AI is now part of research teams, as in officially. I mean, we are talking about AI humans using AI needing to be transparent about how they use it, but when it becomes a part of the research process, I suppose eventually we are going into the authorship realm already.
Okay, I've got two things to say there. One cynical, one not. The cynical one is, when is an AI being used in a research team joining the team? Does that mean if you've licensed Microsoft Office has joined the team? Because rather than using a print, your hand and a pen to write your research up, you're using a computer with Microsoft Word on it. No. However, we've discussed this many times. There are actual really good uses of AI, particularly in research projects, and they've already described that in intelligent summaries and assessing the literature. Analyzing large volumes of data very quickly and efficiently. Absolutely. But is that joining the team, or is that plugging in a resource to help you to deliver what it is you need to deliver?
Yeah, but remember that the scope that the AI is in I guess involving itself in is to answer hypotheses, like to conduct experiments or to prove or disprove hypotheses, to eventually the human thought gets refined in terms of interactions, and you and I, if we talk about one thing, so what if you can amplify that using AI models, and when that happens within the context of a research, aren't they also a part of the research? That is
50 years ago, when electronic calculators came out, you couldn't calculate the sine and cosine and tangent of an angle and a curve. You can on a scientific calculator. So it means that people didn't need to use logbooks or logarithmic tables anymore. This is an extension of that, as far as I'm concerned. Yes, they're good resources. People need to understand the limitations of these resources,
right,
and how they should be used efficiently, accurately, and honestly.
Excellent, Tony. Thank you for the summary. And we are going to another article, which has a pop-up that I need to get rid of. So this one is an article published in a Substack called Gradient Flow, and it is titled "A New Framework for AI Knowledge Work." So the author discusses AI's impact on knowledge works and discusses a new framework. And there are three paradigms: scholar, analyst, and facilitator. These are the three types of agents that the author is discussing. So the scholar agents emphasize systematic analysis, whereas the analyst agents emphasize systematic analysis. Sorry. Analyst agents focus on agile, time-sensitive insights, and finally, facilitator agents handle multi-expert dialogues. So all of these, if suppose you think about agentic systems like this, the author argues that it'll be a more refined system and probably give you a more accurate, high quality output. So it's an interesting way to look at agentic system as a whole. What do you think of the three sort of paradigms: scholar, analyst, and facilitator?
Oh, I think it's great to see it sort of broken down in that way. You and I have both seen the benefit of using agentic networks when developing tools, and if you can replicate the persona of those different sort of research styles, the research roles, and generate results that are as good or better
Hmm.
than the human that might be involved, otherwise involved in the process, then worth exploring.
Right. Moving on to the next article, this is something that I mentioned in reference to the title of the episode itself. So this is from GeekWire, and this is titled "Coding is Dead. University of Washington Computer Science Program rethinks curriculum for the AI era." So the thing is that AI is obviously changing things, and coding was a manual task, and it's becoming obsolete because AI can handle it very effectively. Because AI is very good at understanding the coding languages as well, because partially because it's also written in these languages, and the focus now for these courses is on creating problem solvers who understand computing fundamentals, as in the students are being trained to be problem solvers. And the school, I mean, we are also talked about things like chat gpt being as offered as part of the curriculum, and the University of Washington school encourages experimenting with AI integration in courses, and graduates are prepared for jobs that require more than basic coding tasks. So I mean, AI, we are what, 4 years into the chat gpt, and we are already looking at completely revamping our education systems, especially in the core skill that is required to create these AI systems. So
Yeah.
that's incredible to even think about. Your thoughts on it, Tony?
And my only thought is, again, increasing the need for human guardrails to make sure that what the code that the computer is generating is correct.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen plenty of stories about how good and how efficiently code can be created, but there have also been stories about some of the poor coding that's taken place. And I think there's still going to be human guardrails in place to make sure that what's being generated is accurate.
Right. Tony, moving on to the next story. It is an article written by CEO of Digital Science, if I'm not mistaken, Daniel Hook, and it's titled "New Report Shows China Dominates in AI Research and is Western World's Leading Collaborator on AI," which I did not know of. So we are aware that China is leading on different fronts, also in terms of AI research. So it is a major collaborator right now. China is a major collaborator for Western countries in AI. And this report highlights China's leadership in AI related patents and innovations. And despite tensions, Tony, China's AI talent and research infrastructure continue to grow impressively, despite obviously the Trump administration's measures. And the EU struggles with international collaboration and patent output compared to China. That's a sort of an interesting viewpoint. So, I mean, this is not surprising for me in the overall sense that China is a leader in AI research, but I was not aware of the collaborative nature, especially for AI related patents. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I was unaware of the deeply collaborative nature, particularly with what's happening in the US. Whether it's China collaborating with other countries, not necessarily the US, I don't know. I'm not seeing the research.
Mm-hmm.
But again, demonstrates another example of how really China over the last 20 years has stolen such a march. Stolen is the wrong word. Has really made such a significant investment in skills and knowledge in research communication that they are now the number one producer of content. It doesn't surprise me that they're the number one potential partner when it comes to AI research as well. But equally, anyone that's doing work in China still needs support, still needs some help. And we have people at Charlesworth, our sister company, in the China Expert Services Group that can help advise and guide and direct you if you've got some questions regarding how best to engage with a potential Chinese partner.
Excellent. Thanks, Tony. Moving on to the next article, it's an interesting one. Toward trustworthy peer review, a relational response to the AI prompt injection debate. So I think 2 or 3 episodes ago we covered the fact that AI prompt injection was a concern in peer review because a lot of systems are now being developed to facilitate peer review, and injected prompt directing the AI agent or AI LLM language model to do only a positive review would obviously interfere. So
Yeah.
this is another sort of alternative viewpoint on that. And this
Yeah.
article basically, or the author argues that AI prompt injection is an adaptation to systemic issues in the academic publishing environment, and it's not quite fraud. I mean, that's the point of the author. And the author also highlights the lack of unified standards for AI use in academic peer review, and suggests that the real problem is the systemic opacity and inconsistent AI policies. So far, what do you think of the author's viewpoint?
I think he or she, the author, has made a number of very fair points.
Mm-hmm.
I do also think even if there were standards in place, you would find individuals who'd be wanting to break the system or play the system.
Yep.
accordingly. So there needs to be constant surveillance and supervision
Mm-hmm.
on those standards and how they're being applied. But no, the author's absolutely right. So
Yeah.
I'll say this Cherokee Shill.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. This particular author has made some very interesting points,
Yeah.
but there needs to be that constant supervision.
Yeah, and the author also proposes a shared responsibility model for AI integration
Yeah,
among
yeah.
authors, reviewers, and journals, and calls for transparency and ethical AI integration rather than punitive measures.
Now, as we
As
said in an earlier episode, KK,
Yeah,
AI in peer review is no. I think we said it earlier this episode, didn't we? AI in peer review is inevitable. It will happen. It's just how it's introduced and how it's managed efficiently and effectively within within the organization. That's the real measure.
yeah, and the final thing, and I want your opinion on this. The author encourages a shift from surveillance to stewardship in academic publishing ethics. So that's an interesting point, especially in the context of peer review. What do you think? As in, are we being too punitive in the entire peer review ecosystem right now, or shouldn't be more? Remember,
No,
we
but I don't think we're being punitive enough. I
yeah.
think if the system's being abused, then those individuals need to be withdrawn from the system.
Yeah, but I suppose the abusing individuals are bad actors, and when we are looking at those are likely a minority, and the good
Yeah.
actors are they facing the repercussions of the consequences
Oh
of
well, unfortunately, what's the old saying? One bad apple can
Yeah.
spoil the whole barrel. This is exactly the same here. The research gets tarnished with the same brush, even though 99.99% of it is good, ethical, honest research. So we need to self-manage. The industry needs to self-manage itself and weed out those bad actors when they're identified,
All right, moving on to a couple of
and have processes in place that will consistently, not just on a one-off, but consistently withdraw those bad actors, remove those bad actors as and when.
Interesting. All right, moving on to the last couple of main stories. Both are news related to AI and with the publishing infrastructure, I would say. So the first one is PubHi wins award for innovative literature review software. So this award is for most innovative scientific literature review software 2025 UK by Global Health and Pharma. PubHive Navigator is a product we are talking about, is designed for life sciences and pharmaceutical organizations, and it offers features like scientific literature review and automation and real-time summarization, and it's scalable for both small teams and large enterprises. So it is recognized for its user experience innovation and work simplification. So sounds like something that's very useful for somebody working in life sciences, especially doing literature review. And we need more such tools, because all these things can be at least partially automated to sort of improve the efficiency and quality of the eventual outputs.
I can see how these tools will be used in pharma. I think that this is a big part of the work that they do. As long as they can be assured that it's not hallucinating or creating false references.
Right.
I think these tools are going to be used more and more.
Right. And another news story, Wiley partners with Anthropic to accelerate responsible AI integration across scholarly research. So Wiley's adopted the Anthropic Model Context Protocol for better AI and content integration. So Model Context Protocol, I think to simplify it, it's how models can interact with each other and agents can interact with each other, so that they do things better. So it's a protocol in itself. And this partnership between Wiley and Anthropic focuses on standards for AI use in scientific content. And the collaboration aims to improve research workflows in educational institutions. And Wiley's commitment to responsible AI, and we've talked about it, the most comprehensive, the most detailed AI assistance guidelines have come from Wiley, and they've been the leaders. And so this is a similar sort of a thing, and it's a good sort of a step in terms of I guess automating publishing workflows. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Wiley, at least publicly, have been ahead of the game more than so many other publishers in terms of trying to establish and create the standards that would make publishing work, make AI publishing work. This is just one of a number of examples that they've introduced over the last few months. So definitely a company to watch if you're interested in AI and publishing.
All right, breaking the trend from the last couple of episodes, Tony, are you now ready to move to the quick hits section?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. The first one, it is from the markup, and it's titled AI is helping students be more independent, but the isolation could be a career poison. So we are talking about the pluses and the minuses of AI assistance in the context of students and education. Obviously, AI can be very powerful in terms of helping students learn, but they are also, I mean, such AI integration would obviously get in the way of students learning social skills, and social interactions in general would be decreased. And these interactions, Tony, are essential for forming connections that benefit students in their careers and personal growth. So that is it's a valid point, and the entire thing is detailed in this. What do you think? Are you concerned that, let's say, the coming generation is going to be social skills wise deficient because of
Well,
AI?
yeah, look, the old person in me
Mm,
is concerned because I know how I developed my career by building networks, by sort of creating these sort of social networks within my own working space. That's not to say that the way somebody builds their career moving forward is going to be the same. Environments change, the workplace is changing.
mhm,
Um, I think there is an argument, there is a need for a mixed and balanced approach that would combine the best of technology with the best of human skills. But I don't know what the workplace is going to look like in 10 years' time, let alone
mm,
20 or 30. So maybe you know it's the old-fashioned thinker in me is thinking, how does this possibly work? How can this be correct?
mhm.
Yeah, I've not seen that work in practice, so I think I'm going to have to pass on a judgment
Right. I
for the
mean,
moment.
in your conversations with educators and institutions when you visit the US, did such concerns also come up in the conversation? Apart from obviously the fact that instructors are worried whether AI use is leading to poorer learning outcomes in students.
Um, okay, where concern is expressed, not just in the US, for example, also
Mm,
in the UK and Germany and other countries I visited, um, the assessor is concerned about how, or the education institution is concerned about how the student learns, not necessarily how they learn, but what they learn and how they put into practice. That's more pressing. That's more concerning than the actual use of AI. They want to make sure that if they're going to use AI tools, they're being honest and open about how they're being used. But they want to see how the students are converting that into practice.
mhm. Interesting. All right. The next quick hit is something that I think you are going to be interested in. I don't have the access to this article, but I believe you do, Tony. It's titled How the Catholic Church Views AI, and we are specifically talking about generative AI. So, the Catholic Church apparently sees AI, as generative AI, especially as a profound technological change comparable to Renaissance, which is interesting. The church apparently collaborates with leaders from various religions to promote ethical AI development, and AI
Yeah,
is not seen as a danger but as a tool for social transformation and justice.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I'm sort of like for me in my head, religion and technology are sort of like on different sides of a continuum, and this is fascinating. What are your thoughts on it?
Um, I mean, I've already spoken to religious people, to priests, Catholic priests, Church of England priests, about how they view AI, and I think there's a clear um, uh, case. There's a need for improved systems within the church, for example. Systems that can help manage appointments, systems that can help um, engage with parishioners in the first level, in the first instance. The same way you go to a GP and GPs are increasingly using AI.
Hmm.
Why can't the priest use the same thing? Um, uh, I haven't really thought about this of the deeper sort of philosophical or ethical
Hmm.
issues around this. But it's like anything. The church, in order to be valid, in order to be contemporary, it needs to review what technology is doing and how it's affecting the global community, and
Hmm.
have policies or have positions in place that reflect that.
Interesting, interesting. All right. Finally, the episode is titled "Velvet Goldmine" because of this artist. So this is the if you haven't seen Tony, this just should have been in newspapers and everything. So this is the AI generated image for the band The Velvet Sundown. So this is a digital trends article on the on the band itself, and this is obviously an AI generated. The content is all AI generated, and there's no real band like this. Obviously, there are no real
Yeah, there's,
people like
there's no
this.
basis.
Yes, that's an interesting point, which I did not notice until now. Okay, and I don't even know which guitar makes these are, but these that looks like a telly, right? It is
That looks like the telly in the background, and
yeah.
there's like is it a Gibson acoustic. I don't know. Anyway,
yeah.
sorry.
Anyway, so this blew up last week, and the band apparently, Tony, quickly gained about 400,000 monthly listeners, and speculation rose about AI involvement. And this project has been deemed as an artistic experiment, and the band currently remains a mystery, but Spotify has come clean, and it has led to an outrage. I mean, obviously you would not want to be listening to an AI. I mean, I don't mind AI generated music as long as good quality music, but at the same time I would like to know that it's AI generated music. Just like some of the dilemmas that we often see in the context of publishing as well, in the sense that if suppose there is a research paper, some content in a research paper that is generated using AI assistance, I guess as a reader I ought to know that it is, right?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
if this is AI generated music, then Spotify needs to come up, be clean about it, and make that clear that that's what the listeners listen to.
That, well, Spotify did come clean, and this we had to talk about it because we talk about music anyway, and so that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
reason that's the reason why we have it, and that again brings us to the end of
I want to listen to it. When we finish this episode tonight, I'm going to go away and listen to it, see if it's any good. I suspect it's not, but AI generated music is definitely getting better.
Right. All right. So
I heard an AI generated version of some Mike Oldfield music, for example, and actually it wasn't too bad at all.
right. So Tony, anything interesting happening in your music world?
Yeah, I'm taking a few days off later this week to do some training, purely personal time out just to improve my guitar playing. So I should be doing that later on this week.
Excellent. So I think you've already
How about you?
Well, I had a couple of private performances, and it was interesting. I did a bunch of my own customized versions I mean, interpretations of songs, classic, alternative, and everything. It was,
Right.
yeah, it was interesting. So this happened over the last weekend. It was a surprise sort of performance. So that in itself was interesting. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing, but I'm looking forward to learning more about your experience in this new guitar
Indeed.
course. Anyway, I think you've already plugged the YouTube channel, but I'll just repeat it. If you are interested in watching all the previous 8 to 9 episodes, you can go to Inago's YouTube channel and find the PubShorts playlist, where everything will be laid out in front of you. All you need to do, instead of listening to the Velvet Sundown on Spotify, just listen to you, Tony and me, talk about publishing.
We're far more interesting.
I'm sure. And with that, we wrap up the episode, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you, Tony, and we will see you in the next one. Bye bye.
See you in episode 91.